I think Scorpio is everybody's favorite sign, to be honest. Like, I've noticed since I've been doing like natal chart readings and just talking to people about like their natal chart, the one sign that people always want to bring up is Scorpio. People always want to tell you what they have in Scorpio. Like, they can have one thing in Scorpio. They can have just like, you know what I mean, their Mercury in Scorpio, and they want to tell you about it. I just think that's like the energy of this sign is alluring, is mesmerizing, even if you don't typically get along with Scorpios, because as great as Scorpio is, Scorpio can be difficult to get along with, especially depending on, your own energies or whatnot. Like, for example, if you have like a lot of Aries in your chart, Aries and Scorpio clash pretty hard. So there's definitely going to be things you admire by each other just because both Aries and Scorpio are ruled by Mars. Scorpio is also ruled by Pluto, though. So there's going to be that commonality. But also, yeah, think about it. What is Mars? Mars is hatred. Mars is anger. Anger. Mars is fighting. So even the thing that Aries and Scorpio have in common is gonna lead to like a combustion. It's gonna lead to a confrontation a lot of times. So yeah, Scorpio can be a sign that's hard to get along with, but it's one of my favorite signs. I gotta be honest. It is a very special sign. All the signs are special, but just Scorpio just has an energy that's unique. And like I said, it's alluring, it's mesmerizing, it's something that you want to know more about. It's something that even without trying, even if a Scorpio is not trying to, have the eye on them, they can kind of like pull that energy and have all eyes on them. So yeah, this is definitely a sign I like. And like I said, everyone wants to connect to Scorpio. Scorpio is actually my second most dominant sign. So even I want to connect to that energy just because it's the shit. It's incredible energy. But Scorpio is a water sign. It is feminine as far as its gender, and is fixed as far as its quality. And this sign, just like all the other signs, I break down into four main archetypes. And the first archetype is the demon. So, whenever you hear the term demon, well, anytime the average person hears the term demon, they automatically think bad, stay away from it, evil. And the demon archetype can carry that energy. And there are demonic Scorpios that you need to stay away from. But I also believe that the demon archetype shows you the good side of darkness and the necessary side of darkness. And the side of darkness that is within the universe and within yourself that's never going to go away. And that's a big part of Scorpio, I feel. It's about dark truths. It's about things in the universe, things that are within you that might be immoral, that might be volatile, that might be primitive, that might be sexual, even hypersexual, but it's still you and it's not going any fucking way. It's not going any fucking where. And the thing is that no matter how moral you are, no matter how much you refine your character, no matter how much of a better person you become, you will always have a shadow. You will always have a dark side to you. You will always have a side to you that's a little bit wrong, or what society and your culture will say is just wrong. And that's what Scorpio is about, and that's what the demon is about ultimately. So with that being said, you can kind of split this archetype into two, and I'll probably go back and forth, like talking about the good demon and the bad demon. But one thing about the demon archetype is that they can be like the little devil on your shoulder. You know how in TV shows they'll have like a little angel and a little devil on different shoulders. The demon type can be like that, and they can push you to do things that are just like a little bit bad. Like if you're on a diet and they got a cupcake, and I'm saying this because there's a coworker that I work with that was pushing me to eat cupcakes when I wasn't fooling with junk food. He's a Scorpio, and that's a prime example of how this type can be. But it can become more nefarious. And a lot of times they'll try something light like that just to see how far they can push you, or if they can push you or not, or to just like kind of gain your trust so they can push you further. It can be trivial, it can be just for fun too. So don't think if a Scorpio's doing that, they're automatically going to try to convince you to commit murder or some shit like that. Though they could. Murder is a part of Scorpio. Murder is, rape is, all that fucked up shit. And the demon can represent all of those things. You have the demon type that is truly just like evil and fucked up and cold and detached, and nothing really made them evil. They were just kind of always that way. And I know that might be kind of controversial. I think most human beings believe that all human beings start off as good, and then that life and trauma fucks us up and it turns us bad. And that's actually like a different type of the demon too. That's a part of Scorpio. Scorpio does deal with trauma. However, in my experience, I have come across people who, at least based on my views, were evil for the sake of being evil. And nothing really traumatized them. They just have no empathy. And having no empathy doesn't mean you're going to do something evil, but it makes it a lot easier. So they have no empathy, and they like to cause harm. They like to cause discord. They like to cause chaos in a very nasty and negative way, in a way that is detrimental to other human beings. So that is like the darkest form of the demon type. Just this person who is just here to destroy. And even if you do believe that the ultimate truth to the universe is good actions, we need bad in order for us to recognize and appreciate good. So I still feel like people like that, as fucked up as it sounds, they're needed, you know? So that's the darkest form. And then you have the type that has experienced a lot of trauma, and they're negative and kind of antisocial, because they can be kind of antisocial in a way just because of their bad trauma. And in my experience, there's three big things that plague this type of demon. You have childhood sexual abuse. You have a lot of Scorpios, death kind of follows them even at a young age, especially with their mothers. That's something I really noticed, especially with Scorpio sun signs. I know 1,000,000,001 Scorpio sun signs, real and fictional, funny enough, who have lost their mothers at a young age, and that gotta fuck with you. You know what I mean? That's just gotta fuck with you. And a lot of times, Scorpios are the types where they won't let you see that something is fucking with them, because it's exposing a weakness when they do that. And Scorpios are all about power, and I'll get to that in a second too. So you have a lot of Scorpios that won't show you that, but it just has to. And the thing with Scorpio too is, even when they try to conceal something, when they're really good at doing this, a different issue would show that they're suffering anyway. Like, if they're a person who's overly detached and cold, a lot of times it's because of betrayal and things of that nature. And that's the third thing I was gonna say about this type of Scorpio. It's just all out betrayal, especially Scorpio moons. In this case, a lot of times Scorpio moons can't trust their mothers. Now, Scorpio is a sign of extremes. Actually, all water signs kind of, but Scorpio especially, because it's water and it's fixed energy. In fixed energy, it builds. So take the cardinal signs. The cardinal signs initiate a season. So Libra initiates fall. So Libra then passes the torch to Scorpio, and Scorpio maintains fall. And during this time of fall weather is most intense, if that makes any sense. So you have like a lot of dead leaves on the ground. It's a little bit cooler than it was when it was Libra season, etc., etc., etc. There's like that feeling of fall in the air, because that energy has compounded itself, thus making Scorpio more intense, even for a water sign. And then Pisces is mutable, and mutable goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So it goes from like, during Pisces time, it goes from like feeling like winter to feeling like spring, back and forth. So that's a different type of like extreme, but is extreme as well. So yeah, where was I at? So yeah, Scorpio, a lot of times the three things that really fuck with the second type of demon is childhood sexual abuse. A lot of Scorpios have been abused. A lot of Scorpios of this type have been sexually abused as a child. Having death follow them, especially death of their mothers, and just being fucking betrayed. Now, Scorpio is a sign that's very naturally intuitive usually. However, when you're young, and even when Scorpios are young, they can kind of be old souls. But when you're young, there's a small part of you, even if you're very sure of yourself, there's a small part of you that is gullible, that is wet behind the ears, even if you are a very perceptive Scorpio. And there's a part of you that seeks guidance because you're a kid and that's in your nature, even if it's not in your nature in a way. And Scorpios out here that are watching this, you know what I mean. Like, during those times where you were betrayed, you knew that person was going to betray you before they betrayed you. You just didn't listen to that voice because you may have wanted to seek guidance from that person. Let's say if the betrayer came from an older person, there's that part of you that still wanted to seek guidance. Does that make? I hope that makes sense. And like I said, all the Scorpios that are watching this, you know what I'm talking about because this probably didn't happen to you. Even if you're not this type of Scorpio, I feel like this is a Scorpio thing overall, but especially for this type, to clarify that. Yeah, so you have that type of Scorpio demon. If they are honest about who they are and the things that happen to them, they can become good people. But a lot of times, this type of Scorpio wears their past traumas as armor. So after all that betrayal, they just said, you know what? Fuck people. Fuck people. You can't trust them. I'm putting this wall up. And anytime they want to connect with someone, because Scorpio is actually about deep connections. So there's a struggle in there. Even if you meet a Scorpio and you're like, they're always cold, they're always distant, 9 times out of 10, there's an aspect of them that is struggling with that because Scorpio is meant to have that deep connection. Scorpio is another sign that's very witchy. And just think about in a coven. And I'm thinking back to a particular movie, The Craft. And I think this was like a real thing used in Wiccan rituals. I could be wrong. But there's a scene in which the different witches put the athame, or the ritual knife, to each other's throats. And they said, I enter this circle with perfect love and perfect trust. That's what Scorpio wants deep down inside. They want a coven. Or sometimes they only want to connect with one other person, especially Scorpio moons. They might only literally want one other person they can trust, nobody else. But anyway, usually they want a coven, and they want a deep psychic connection in which you can't really hide anything from each other. You can't really lie to each other. You're naked in front of each other 24/7. And that can scare the shit out of Scorpio, and that can make Scorpio a little bit uncomfortable, because 9 times out of 10 with the Scorpio, they want you to reveal themselves, and then they still want to reveal, cover a little bit of themselves. But in doing that, once again, there's that problem again, because if you're fully naked before me, I see all of you, but there's a certain part of me I'm hiding. We're not as deeply connected as we could be. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that's like the Scorpio's ultimate like kind of fantasy when it comes to connecting. And I do believe that Scorpio can find that connection. It just depends on what's going in their charts. Are they willing to at least try to trust other people as deeply, etc., etc.? So like I said, you have the traumatized demon, I guess you can say, who tries to work through that. And then you have the type that's just, like I said, wears it, and they say, you know what, don't trust no nigga. Kaya is a Scorpio, and Kaya is such a fucking Scorpio, actually. She is such a fucking Scorpio. But that song, Don't Trust No Nigga, that's Scorpio as fuck. And then Betrayed by Boosie. And I know Boosie is a controversial figure, especially in the gay community. But I like Boosie. Boosie got a lot of fucking good songs, I'm not gonna lie. But he has a song called Betray. He says he's a Scorpio in that song too. He was like, so I'm a Scorpio, so I'm unforgivable. But yeah, that's Scorpio. That's that demon type. A lot of times they've just been betrayed too fucking much, and it's just like fuck everybody. And when they say fuck everybody, they can mean fuck everybody. Their mothers, their brothers, their sisters, their cousins, their best friends, their kids. And that's not to say that Scorpio can't be loyal. Scorpio can be extremely loyal, but if they start feeling like they can't trust, forget about it. And it's fake sign. This is a willful fake sign. So good luck trying to change their minds. The only really way you can change a Scorpio's mind if they get like that is, one, if they really do cherish the bond and relationship you two have. And even then, Scorpio can cut it loose. Like I said, they're mentally strong like that. And if you give them all of yourself in the moment, if you're in, Scorpio can feel that. Scorpio can sense that. So if you and a Scorpio are getting into it, this type of Scorpio are getting into it, and they're breaking off the relationship, they're saying they can't trust you because they can't trust everybody. They can't trust anybody because of their past hurts and traumas. They're like, I can't fucking trust you either. You're just like the people from my past. That reminds me of Ike Turner. Ike Turner was a Scorpio. And, you know, a lot of people like to make fun of this, but when he's like, you gonna leave me like all the mother suckers did anime? People like to make fun of that scene. But that scene is Scorpio. That him acting, though, that was Scorpio all day. And he was abused as a kid sexually by a family friend. I think it was a female family friend. So yeah, that's just very Scorpio. They'll just go back to that trauma, even though they're not in that space anymore. But as a person with Venus in my 8th house, it's similar to having Venus in Scorpio. Venus is your relationships. When you put Venus in that energy, it deals with betrayal. So I've dealt with this myself. When you've been betrayed over and over and over and over and over again, abused over and over and over and over again, you're going to have a moment. It may not last forever, but you're going to have a moment where you're done with everybody. You're going to have a moment where you're like, fuck everybody. I can't trust nobody. And that's just the way it's going to be. And a lot of times I feel like you have to stay in that space until it's time for you to heal, move on, and until you're ready to find someone that actually is trustworthy. So Scorpio, there actually are people who are trustworthy in this world, believe it or not. But anyway, I think I'm going to get off of the demon because I talked about the demon for far too long. A few things I mentioned or forget to mention is the demon type can also be extremely jealous, or they can attract extreme jealousy as well. So after the demon type, we have the occultist, and the occultist is obsessed with power. Now, all the Scorpio types can be obsessed with power, but with the occultist, it's sort of a theme in their life, and it's kind of a lot of times a life purpose. They are supposed to be very powerful, and they are naturally very powerful, but they're also very focused, more so on power, and this can create kind of a frustration when dealing with them, and just like just working with them and being with them and having a relationship with them, because a lot of times like you can be just having an idle conversation with them and they'll have this really serious demeanor because they trying to make sure they are always either the dominant one or is completely neutral. Usually they want to be the dominant one. And they could just be hyper focused on that shit to the point where it's like for example, if you're watching a comedy show, they won't laugh. And laughter is, what's funny is different. It's subjective. What's funny to me is different from what's funny to you. But I'm very intuitive, and a lot of times, and with Scorpio, like actually I didn't say this. Scorpio has a very, very thick aura. They have a very, very thick, palpable energy. And if you're sensitive energy, you know what I'm talking about. Actually, there's a scene in The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which is a Netflix original show based off of a spin-off of the Sabrina the Teenage Witch comic. And it's a very, very dark spin on Sabrina the Teenage Witch. And the lead character is a Scorpio in real life, and she's also a Scorpio in the show. And the whole show is a very Scorpionic thing. But in it, there was a scene in which Sabrina was trying to save a little girl from an ice cream man. He had her in the freezer part. She's still alive. And Sabrina teleports in there, and she... Oh, sorry. Spoiler alerts. I'm late as hell, but spoiler alerts. But she teleports into the back of the ice cream truck, but she can't get out because the ice cream man had put up all these symbols and sigils so where she can't escape. And then Lilith, yes, Lilith is in the show. Lilith comes, and Lilith is connected to Scorpio. And I believe Lilith is connected to Cancer as well, in my opinion. But anyway, Lilith finds Sabrina, and Sabrina's like, how did you find me? She was like, you leave a psychic trail like a slug. And this is, I feel like this is one of those instances, and this happens a lot, in which art imitates reality, especially reality of a spiritual nature. Scorpios have a very thick auric field. And like I said, how Scorpios, when they were kids, the demon Scorpio, when they were kids, a lot of times when they're about to be betrayed or abused, they knew it, but they like went with the other part of them, the more intellectual side of them. A lot of people can do that when dealing with Scorpios. You know when you've encountered a bad Scorpio, you can fucking feel it. It's intense as shit. It's just you were so in lore and in love and mesmerized by this beautiful creature that you ignored what you felt. So in that, I do believe the Scorpio is a good deceiver and manipulator because they're good actors. They're very good actors. Scorpio is the sign of the spy. And just think about how the spy has to change up its appearance and dialect and complete personality to blend in. That's what Scorpio does a lot of times. But like I said, that energy field, you can still fucking feel it. You know it. So they can be obsessive compulsive altogether as well. They can be a natural medium too. I actually know a Scorpio rising who's a really, really good medium, and I'm gonna leave his information in the little box section below, um, just in case you want a good medium. He's a really good medium. He's a Cancer sun sign as well, so like both of those energies working together definitely helps him out as far as his psychic abilities. So yeah, they can be good mediums. And you know how Scorpio's always kind of talked about as being like the hoey sign? Not this sign. Um, a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're sensitive to energy. And they don't want to make that exchange with just anyone. They don't want, especially if they're the receptive partner or the woman, they don't want to take in your negative, nasty energy. And honestly, a lot of Scorpios who are very slutty, it's one of those things that some Scorpios are built for it, some Scorpios are not. And I think that's the truth with just all of us, to be honest. And you'll have the ones that, even if they are very slutty, they still have that intuitive part to them, usually, where they'll meet a person and they'll just be like, mm-mm. Even though they're very attracted to the person, they're like, mm-mm. It's just something about you is just off, so we're not doing this. Um, but some Scorpios can be quite self-destructive in their sex too. But anyway, we're not talking about them right now. So yeah, this type of Scorpio is actually very sexually conservative, and they can be really into sexual transmutation. And they can be naturals at it. They may not even realize that they're doing it, because all of the water signs deal with the unconscious or subconscious mind. So you may be, when you have a lot of this energy, a lot of times your talents and your gifts happen automatically. It just kind of comes from you. It just kind of manifests from you. And that's another feminine energy thing. Feminine energy just kind of manifests. It can be really, it can manifest in a really passive way. That's what I'm trying to say. Where masculine energy is very active and conscious and deliberate. So you know what you're doing. Where feminine energy, a lot of times things just kind of come from you. So there's a lot of Scorpios of this type and other types who think they don't have any talents, who think they're not really good at anything. And it's not that you're not good at anything. It's just that your way of getting better at your talents are different than everyone else's. So, and I'm gonna go back to like the masculine feminine thing. So sports is a very, very masculine thing overall. If I want to get better at basketball, all I gotta do is play basketball, right? All I gotta do is go to either a basketball camp or practice on my own, and I'm gonna get better at it. How do you get better at witchcraft? How do you get better at psychic abilities? You know, yes, of course, by doing it, but if you're someone who practices these things, you know that psychic exercises don't necessarily always get you where you need to be. And this is so difficult to talk about because it's internal, and there's no words you can say for psychic abilities. I mean, psychic experiences a lot of times. So even if you're doing exercises, you can go months without seeing anything, feeling anything. Like when I first got back into like developing my psychic abilities, there was like a solid 6 months where I barely felt, saw, sensed anything. And I didn't even know that it was working because there was no changes that were visible to me. And that can kind of be how your gifts as a scorpionic person are. So it's not that you're not talented. Scorpio is actually extremely talented, multi-talented sign. It's just that your way of manifesting your talents and getting better than your at your talents are far different than like a lot of mainstream talents. Another thing that I think is kind of funny about this type is that their resting bitch face can be very attractive and it can be very natural, but their smiles are creepy as fuck. I don't know why, but like the cult type of Scorpios, a lot of times when they smile, their smiles just look fucking scary. Like their smiles look like they're about to do something fucked up. And they can be thinking about rainbows and sunshine, but it'll just look like they're ready to kill someone. Next, we have the Triathlete. So the Triathlete has that unshakable will that we always associate with Scorpio. They have very high levels of strength and endurance, obviously. They handle a lot of pain and discomfort. They can be like natural sexual transmutators, just like the occultists as well. It's like the occultists, they can be kind of overly serious, kind of obsessed with power dynamics. They can kind of look at themselves as being more of a machine than a person. I feel like they can be extremely loyal too. That's the interesting thing about this type. And they can also be, I think I said very rude and blunt, but kind of disrespectful too. And so can like the demon type and the occultist. Honestly, all types of Scorpios can be kind of disrespectful, just because Scorpio a lot of times is a sign that says what it feels. And that's all the water signs. People always want to talk about like how a Virgo can cut you down and how Aquarius can cut you down. It's nothing compared to how a water sign can cut you down. Especially Pisces, funny enough. I think Pisces has the worst mouth of all the water signs. Believe it or not, everybody wants to believe that Pisces is like this cute little sweet guppy. And they are, but they can be barracudas too. But back to Scorpio. Scorpio is, yeah, they can cut you down with their words. And a lot of times it's just because how they feel is how they feel. And lastly, we have the Dominatrix. So this is the always horny type of Scorpio. And they can be kind of like, if you watch the TV show Big Mouth, they can be kind of like the hormone monsters. Where they're like always sexual, always horny, but they're kind of jokesters too. And they're very like free-spirited. They're fun to be around. They are very fun to be around, I will say. But you gotta watch them because this all Scorpio types can be manipulative, but they'll catch you off guard with their manipulation just because they're so jovial and lighthearted that you wouldn't expect them, I guess, to be manipulative. But then they'll try to manipulate you, especially in like going to strip clubs and stuff like that. And once again, that's not like the worst thing in the world, but if you like are a person who, like, a lot of people don't want to be in strip clubs just because the energy of a strip club can be so fucked up. I mean, I understand that a place with high sexual energy can also be desirable, you know, for obvious reasons, but in a lot of strip clubs, especially strip clubs that are like in a like shabby area, there's a feeling of despair. There's a feeling of sadness. There's a feeling of like just bad energy. Just because like a lot of strippers are drugged out, addicted to things, which is very Scorpio too. Addicted to things. They're just trying to make ends meet. Like it's not a good feeling. So a lot of people, of course, taking them to a strip club can be a really bad thing. And that's another thing about this type of Scorpio. They can love being in hypersexual places. So strip clubs, sexual bookstores, bathhouses, they can pretty much live in this place. They love sexual energy. They can exude sexual energy a lot. Sex. They're kind of like the sex fiend type of Taurus. And they are opposite signs, so it makes sense. Opposite signs are extremely different at first, and then they're exactly the same when you really get to know them. Now, this type can be a foul mouth too, and they can be extreme cheaters. They cannot be loyal. Like, remember I said the other type is extremely loyal? It's Scorpio. So extremely this way or extremely that way. So this type is big cheater type. A lot of them will get to a point where they admit that they just can't be in a relationship. Because even an open relationship, sometimes it'll work for them, sometimes it doesn't. Though I notice a lot of times it just doesn't work for them. Because they have a side to them where they can just be insensitive assholes. And it's just, I don't really know why they just kind of are like that, and I noticed that causes a lot of fights and breakups with them. So a lot of times they get to the point where even though they do want that deep connection, just like the other types of Scorpios, they'll just be like, fuck it, I'm gonna just be a hoe. And you know, there's people with open relationships and stuff like that, but like I said, it just doesn't work for them a lot of times. Cheating can kind of be a fetish for them too, where like either them cheating or the person they're having sex with is cheating. That can like really turn them on. And they can also be the type that will fuck anything and just like fucking, and that can be another turn on. Like I've known guys that get turned on by having sex with ugly guys, and I'm not judging you because of that, but like, I want someone who's sexually attractive to me. Like, that's the point. That's like the whole point to me. But like some guys, I think it's because it makes them feel slutty, and a lot of people do like that feeling of feeling slutty, and I think that's what does it for them. But yeah, and they can take it really far. They can like have sex with like homeless people and stuff like that. And I'm just like, if you can't wash up, we ain't fucking. Like, like I don't get that one, but this is the sign of taboo sexuality. So I mean, hey, but that's all I got for you guys today. This is another long one. Let me know what you guys think of like this style of YouTube I'm doing versus the other style. Like, this is like kind of rambly, but I feel like it has more of a flow and is more natural. But I also feel like the beginning videos were like more structured and I had a point and I got everything I want to say out. And this way it's like, I don't know if I said everything I wrote down, and I feel like it almost went into the area of coaching, which Scorpio does deal with coaching, so maybe it's the energy of the topic that's rubbing off on me. But yeah, just let me know what you guys think of like this different style of videography. And also, as usual, let me know what you think of this video just in general. Let me know what you think of Scorpio. Do you love, of course you love Scorpio, but like, do you love and hate Scorpio, or do you love Scorpio? And are you a Scorpio sun? Are you a Scorpio moon? Are you a Scorpio horizon? Do you have nothing in Scorpio, but you wish you had something in Scorpio? Do you have nothing in Scorpio, but you wish you had something in Scorpio? Yeah, maybe you do have some bad experience with Scorpios. Let me know how you feel about Scorpios. Until next time, thank you for watching us. Please like, share, and subscribe, and also comment. And you guys have a good rest of your day.